Really glad you could all come and hear that presentation. How was the meal here at U Club? Was it good? Good. Great. Great venue. State of the Investor address. Tonight is the State of the State, so you can all head home for that. I was just told it's not going to be published ahead of time. He's using 3x5 cards, so you'll want to catch it firsthand if you want the real experience there. My brother Steve and I, Steve, would you stand up real quickly? I think you have a lot of clients here as well. Steve is the gentleman who put the event together in Grand Rapids and lives near the Grand Rapids area.
Deprecating remarks on Grand Rapids I took offense to.
You don't know, I would have thought John was smart enough to turn those around on us, but maybe he wasn't. Great, thanks Steve. Steve and I have been talking a lot about what goes into a great or an exceptional investor experience. And there are a lot of things, but I think at least 3 different things. And I'm just going to talk for 5 or 10 minutes, so bear with me here. It's long-term success as an investor, not short-term. That's number 1. Number 2, achieving market returns and doing that for the long term. If you achieve market returns for the long term, you'll have a tremendous experience as an investor. And so that's number 2. And then 3, peace of mind with respect to your investments. Is part of an exceptional or an excellent investor experience, and that's essentially what we're all after here. I've been thinking a lot about our status as investors, and this whole idea of statuses has come to the fore with Facebook and Twitter. And do you all really care what I'm doing on any given night? Whether I took my kids sledding last night or what I'm having for dinner tonight? It's a funny thing, our status. They can be misleading. We can promote what we want to promote about ourselves. That's, I think, an issue with statuses. You know, I have my moments. If I statused myself, honestly, 12 times per day, man, I'm not sure if you'd all come to the event tonight. I'd probably have to say something like, Evan is not talking with his wife right now because she hurt my pride by being honest with me, or something to that effect. Or I'm being really immature and sulking about the fact that MSU's basketball team can't seem to put together a road win, or something to that effect. That would have been last night at about 8:45. So these statuses are not my overall tone, but they would certainly be a part of it. But my main point really isn't even that statuses can be misleading. My main point about statuses, and we all have many of them, is that they don't tell us what kind of experience we're having as that kind of a status. We all have many. I'm married. That's a status, right? You can even choose that one on Facebook. You may be single. That's a status. There's great opportunity in being single. You're a citizen of the U.S., probably, if you're in this room. That's a wonderful opportunity to have that status. I'm an alumni of Calvin College in Grand Rapids. That can be a good or bad thing. A couple of you in here are as well. I'm a legal driver with a Michigan driver's license at the moment. So that's a good status. These are all the kinds of statuses that are true of us, but the funny thing is none of these statuses speak to the kind of marriage we have, right? It doesn't speak to the kind of opportunity we take with respect to having a driver's license or being a U.S. citizen. They confirm we have the opportunity. We have some of the best opportunities that the world offers human beings in history, frankly. Yet with all these documents, including an investor statement that comes to you in the mail, it doesn't speak to the kind of experience that you've had. Just because we're married doesn't mean we have a great marriage. Just because we're single doesn't mean we're happy about that. Just because a 22-year-old left Calvin College's campus in 1994 doesn't mean I had a great education or a great experience. And just because I have a fund that did really well once doesn't mean I'm having a great experience with that fund. So what I want to talk about just briefly and then encourage you with, and there are going to be a couple of handouts, or one handout in particular I'll refer to, is that what you believe, and then as a result, what you do, what your behavior is, that was the point of the night, that will have more to do with your experience in all of these areas, and as an investor as well, than really any status we could put up there. So we get this investment portfolio, and if you're one of my clients, you have a great status. You've got an investment portfolio that will achieve those market returns over the long term, And if you allow it, we'll give you peace of mind. In fact, there's a book that I brought. It analyzes the wealth growth of the Fortune 400 families in the country. And your investment tool that you have as a client of ours will grow the wealth you have faster, at an increase at a faster pace than 200 of those 400 Fortune 400 families. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to be richer tomorrow, but in essence, if you had enough time, if you had enough generations, you could get on that list with the tool that you have, right? But what's the key component? Behavior and time, right? Now, most investors, and possibly even some of my clients, will not enjoy the very best experience that's available to them. We will allow our emotions and our fears and pressures of the media or coworkers, pleas or ploys, get in the way of that and reduce the experience that we have at the very best and destroy our wealth and affect our relationships and every other area of our life negatively as a result. Wall Street and the media make money when you are anxious. They want you anxious. They don't want you calm. They don't want you cool and collected. They want you snapping at each other, pretty much. And so we need to stop being anxious. As investors, we need to get a hold of that. And John did a really good job with that. But the thing I was most excited about tonight happened before John ever talked. And that was listening to all of you talking to each other. And most of you who are sitting down at tables didn't know each other ahead of time. And that's the thing that I really am encouraged by, because I was hoping for that when we put this together. We put a big group in a small room, so you're all kind of forced to, otherwise you sit and stare at each other, and that's no fun either. But it's great that that happened, and it's great that we can do that. So in order for you to have the best experience, I'm going to put a lot of work and effort forth, and I'm going to ask you for a few things as well. So in the little fold-out, there's a 4-point pledge that I'm going to ask you to consider, and I'm not going to have you sign it and hand it in tonight, that page, but it's on a half sheet, and there are 4 things that I want to ask you to consider doing for your benefit as an investor. The first one is attend the events that we're putting on this year. In the other handout, there's a long list of events. ICS is Investor Coaching Series, and there's a number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. If you can get this, don't come to number 1 twice. That'll be the same talk, okay? Come to number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So attend our events this year, number 1. Number 2, read what I'm writing for my clients. This is my shameless blog plug. EvanVanderway.com or SteveVanderway.com is a source of information that is growing in value to you. And I say growing because I'm developing a discipline of writing and communicating in writing, and I'm realizing that if you can write, you can think. And if you can't write, Steve always says this, it's a pretty good indication that you can't think. And so we're really developing the idea. And I've got an example blog post, and I had the ability to pick the one I like the most. It's on your table as well. I've got lots of paper there for you. So read that. And tell me what you think of it, or give me questions about it. Don't correct my typos. That's all right. Number 3, plan. And meet with us to plan. The application or the financial planning process is not difficult. It doesn't have to be veiled. Financial planning is a simple function of 3 numbers. A rate of return, let's call it 8%, 3% inflation, long term, and anywhere from 4 to 6 or 8% return or income off of your invested assets. If you have a simple mapping calculator that can look at amortizations and rates of return, you can do a financial plan. And there's a number and an age that you can shoot for. And there's an amount per month that needs to go into the investment accounts to get you there. And I know some of you have a number in your head, and you know what it is. And you know that you're saving enough to get there, but a lot of you don't. And it's a bit of a question then as to whether you'll get there in the end. And we should also make the point, we've got 7 kids, we've got an 8th on the way. There are months we're not going to be able to save, and that's okay. And some of you are in that situation too, and you're saving what you can, and that's great. Let's just plan. Let's just recognize, that may add some years. That's great too. There's nothing wrong with working, but we want to plan. So that's number 3. Number 4, help others invest well. You do that by being here with others. John mentioned that. You do that by bringing others with you. And it is essential, I think, to learning something very well that you teach it or that you encourage others to understand it. And so help others invest well as well. And those are my 4 challenges. And I think John did a good job of setting me up for that, recognizing that behavior is the 4th factor, the key component to investing well when you've got everything else lined up right. And that's what I'd like to encourage you to think about. So take that home, give it some thought. We are going to be promoting the events that are coming up. I think the next set of events, to make it simple, are going to be right upstairs here at the U Club. They've given us a great deal because we're setting up 2 or 3 seminars in a row, and they do a great job. So we're excited to make it at this convenient location. So give that some thought. Lastly, some of you are here for the first time, and I bill this as a pretty low pressure event. And at the same time, some of you may want to meet. And so there is a card that I would like for everyone to fill out. And if you fill it out and hand it in, we're going to send you a book back. This is a thin book, which is the best kind of book. It's by Daniel Goldie and Gordon Murray. Gordon Murray died on Saturday. He was an investment banker. He had a brain tumor. And I think he finished the book while he was in that process. He started it before.
Started in June, and then he finished it in October, I think it was.
Yeah.
Published in November, and just coming out in hardcover right now. So I don't know how I got that one so soon. I didn't expect to have it already.
Yeah. And for me to have 80 copies or whatever, 60 copies tonight wasn't possible, but I will send it to you. And so I'd like for all of you to take out the card and fill it out and put your name and your address and your email address on there and your phone number. Give us a number that works. We don't sell these or call us. By works, I mean no extension. Just give us a cell number, somewhere we can actually reach you. And then check yes. And if you're a client, checking yes would mean, hey, we're just going to give you a call and make sure everything's okay. If you want to meet and do a plan, we can talk about planning. If you're not a client, I encourage you to check yes, to have an initial conversation about how you can increase your peace of mind and your understanding about investments. And that's, I kind of made a commitment. I invite you all to dinner. I'm buying, but I'm not selling. So I'd like it to be just about that much pressure. So next time, if you bring a guest, that's about how much pressure they're going to get. We would like you to hand it in, but if you do, you'll get a book and you won't get hounded by us here. So thanks so much for coming out, and have a great evening. I appreciate you all very much.